Go.
All right, welcome back. It's terrific Tuesday in New York. It's terrific for me because for the last 6 months, I've been bunkered down in my Corona bunker studios in my living room, and it's been kind of difficult to motivate to get out of the house. Even though I have a great time during liquid lunch, jumping around and talking about all things, and I'm like, man, I'm still stuck in my house. It stinks. And I thought a clever way to get out of the house and to try to help the owners of Max Pubs was to broadcast from there because I'm an essential business. We're a national TV show going out to 40 million homes in America. And, talking about the law enforcement here in New York and the governor's henchman, I call him Don Formo Leone. He sent his leg breakers down here. Um, but I'm joined right now by a guy who knows a lot more about the NYPD and their tactics and strategies and how they keep us safe than I do, that's for sure. Bill Pepitone joins us right now, former NYPD, now a New York City mayoral candidate. And Bill, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, John. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate that.
My pleasure. So you're running for mayor. Anybody's better than this guy, and that isn't a slight on you. But
Right.
as I mentioned before, I'm the proud son of an NYPD patrolman,
Yes.
and my dad retired, some time ago. But we grew up in an NYPD family, right? And I start looking at what's happening here to these people. They're under tyrannical rule. They're being oppressed like nobody's business. They're closed, but someone can open 2 blocks away, and it starts to drive someone crazy. Um, the NYPD and even these sheriffs, they're cast in a terrible position right now by the leadership that they're being given. Isn't that right?
That's absolutely right. The only contention I have with what you just said is the word leadership. There is no leadership in New York State or New York City right now. And the Sheriff's Department, the NYPD, has been placed in a terrible position, as you said, by both the governor and the mayor. They've put them in this no win situation. They've put these ridiculous, strangulating guidelines on business owners where they can't make a living anymore. That it's forced a situation, it's forced tempers to rise, and this is where we are right now. And it's a shame that they've been put in a position. It's it's a shame that the owners of Max are in this position. It's a shame that all of us are in this position.
Yeah, no, it is a shame, and I seriously, I've been just trying to help, and so many people around the country are trying to help. And then let me ask you this, Bill. I know your candidacy for mayor is going to be an uphill battle, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
sure.
Um, you're a Republican or Democrat?
Republican, conservative.
Conservative Republican, so that even makes it more uphill here in New York City.
Sure.
Um, but I almost feel like in the era of defund the police, I keep seeing all these surveys that moms in the inner city, 70% of them want police. They don't want to defund the police. So maybe your candidacy can represent, an adult in the room who recognizes that the inner city needs the cops more than the suburbs.
Well, that's what our campaign is really about. It's about being the adult in the room, like you just said. Uh, any reasonable person can realize that defunding the police is absolutely ludicrous. The people who need the police the most are the people in the minority communities, in the less fortunate communities. They're the ones that need the police on a daily basis. They don't want to see the police leave. The only people that want to see the police defunded are criminals and weak-kneed politicians. And we have that mix right in New York City. We have weak-kneed politicians with no backbone who just kneeled in front of these anarchists and these criminals and gave in to them. And that's why we are where we're at. And it's a
Oh,
shame. But the good people, they don't believe in it. And we're banking on the good people coming out and voting for us.
so Bill, let me ask you this. I want to dig into your law enforcement background for a minute.
Sure.
I'm going to paint the scenario because I was there. I was an eyewitness. There were 20 members of the sheriff's department surrounding Max Pub the other night at midnight. Okay, in unmarked cars, predominantly one marked vehicle. When Dan exited the building, he and I were the only people there. We walked out of the building. We were like, I don't know if the cops are going to come for us or not. We walked out like, well, we're ready. If they do, we'll just go peacefully. And no one was there. And Dan, I got in my car and drove, and Dan walked about a block and a half away. And as he's walking, now he's got a number of death threats. Antifa was here trying to break down the door. Um, Somebody yells out, "Hey, Presti," just his name, right? He turns around. There's a white Honda Accord there, so it's not like an NYPD or a vehicle. And two people are running him in the full blackout gear, not the sheriffs with the badges, the blackout gear, like a SWAT takedown, right?
Okay, sure.
With skull caps and black masks like this, right? Running after him. And they don't say, "Sheriff, stop, freeze," anything. Um, he gets to his car. He's saying that he felt like his life was in danger because he's been getting threats. He was alone. Kind of nudges him with the car, figuring they'll get out of the way. And then the cop jumps on the hood. Do you know of any NYPD arrest protocols that suggest a law enforcement officer should dive onto the hood of a car and hold on?
No, there are absolutely no protocols, no policies or procedures that would put you in that position where you should jump on the hood of a car. Absolutely not.
And I'm thinking in my head, like I heard all these stories when my father was in like TPF and street crime, and they did these takedowns, and and I'm thinking, well, they know where the guy's parked, they know where the place is, right? They're gonna try to grab him somewhere in between there where there's not a lot of press, right?
Sure, absolutely.
I have video. There was 11 cars there total. Okay,
Right.
if you have 11 cars, don't you sit one car where he's parked and put two guys the other way and just trying to like snatch him in? Another great law enforcement guy said one of the main things that we know is if he doesn't have a weapon, if we don't think he has a weapon on him now, the last thing we want to do is let him get in his car because we don't know what's in there. So how can he escape 20 guys? I keep saying I don't think these people are trained tactically to do this stuff, and the bungles and mishaps are actually causing more stress on the whole community.
Absolutely. And let me just first say, and I'm sure you agree with this, we don't condone violence against any law enforcement
No way,
agency
I don't condone
whatsoever.
violence
Of course
against
not.
any human. You know what I'm
That
saying?
goes without saying, of course. But in regards to
3
the
minutes,
picture
guys.
you just painted and from the video I saw, the tactics led to this situation. You don't jump on the hood of a car. Yes, absolutely, you should stop somebody before they get in the car for the reason you just stated. If they don't have a weapon on them now, they may have one when they get in the vehicle.
Right.
And they needed to have more uniform presence. You don't want to effect an arrest in that type of situation with people in plain clothes or in blackout gear, as you said. You want a uniform presence. You want to make it clear who you are, and your voice commands have to be clear. You can't call the person by their last name. They should have identified themselves. If again your recollection and the picture you paint is correct.
Yeah. Look, I saw all the surveillance, but I'll just say this: having been involved in a number of lawsuits and other things over the years, process servers yell out your name. You know what I'm saying? When they want to serve you with something, "Hey, Mr. Tobacco," because they want to see if you turn, because they only have a general description of you, you know?
2 minutes.
And I liken these sheriffs to kind of tax collectors or process servers because, the sheriff himself was here in Staten Island last week, and he said, "I'm just the mailman for the governor." That's what he said. You know what I mean?
So again, they're being put in a position that they're not trained for, that they're not used to. This all comes back to the governor and the mayor. It's all on them. They've created the situation, and now they've gotten people hurt.
I think that's right on the money. I want to talk more about your mayoral campaign.
Sure.
Maybe we can set something up with your team for you to check in with us once a week. I know it's hard for you guys. I know it's hard for Republicans to get paid any attention to in this city.
Yes.
But I'd sure like to help if there's any way I can.
I greatly appreciate it, sir, and I'd be honored to come on once a week, twice a week, as many times as you want me. I'll be here.
Well,
I appreciate it.
you're so good. I don't want to spoil them by giving you twice a week. But
Just a little at a time.
1 minute,
start
guys.
with one, and if the popular demand is overwhelming, we'll up it to two.
We'll see. Yeah.
I know how hard it is to get some press. Anything I can do to help. Like I said, I'm always a supporter of the NYPD, and I know Pepitone doesn't sound like it to the regular American, but I know that's Italian too, so I like that also.
Thank you.
Thanks,
I appreciate
brother. I'm
it.
half Italian, half Irish, so I got a little to eat.
Thank you. And thank you for what you're doing
much.
thank you for what you're doing for small business, for Max. We have to have a voice. We got to stand up, and we have to fight Cuomo de Blasio.
Thank you,
for
brother.
that. Thank you.
Appreciate it. We'll have you back soon. All right,
30
you guys
seconds,
stay
John.
right there. We're gonna wrap up this terrific Tuesday edition of Liquid Lunch right after this. Don't move.